Well, 2 episodes of Fooly Cooly Progressive in, and I'm still not entirely sure this follow-up is going to be worthwhile. Don't get me wrong, enough new elements have been introduced that I'm gonna stick around and see if they actually go anywhere, but I can't say my hopes are any higher than they were at the end of the first episode. Among the new developments are an insight into Hidomi's psyche, which... yikes. So much like the first Fooly Cooly, Progressive seems to be dealing thematically with the idea of sexual awakening. Like I said, in this case the perspective is from the female instead of the male. And our protagonist Hidomi... she seems to have issues. Let me put it this way. The episode opens with her having an erotic dream in which her bloody, mangled corpse is eaten by decomposing zombies, each of whom look like characters she knows from her day-to-day life. Gee, what's this 10-foot pole doing here? Yeah, between that and all of the imagery that happens during the episode's climax, finale, the implication seems to be that behind Hidomi's withdrawn, stoic exterior lies a depraved mind to rival Tomoko Kuroki's. The implication at this point seems to be that she has kind of a death fetish. Where it stems from and where it could possibly be leading to, I have no idea. Then there are some developments involving our only returning character, so far at least, Haruko Haruhara. Or Raharu, or whatever you choose to call her. I'm gonna keep calling her Haruko. Anyway, the other revelation involves Haruko and her relationship with new character Julia Jinyu. She's the one who's dressing like a maid. During the final battle, Julia says that she and Haruko are one and the same, right before their 2 respective robot vehicles collide, forming a warped yin-yang symbol that explodes. Combine this with a scene from the closing animation in which we see Julia splitting off from Haruko, and it becomes clear there is something more going on. Beyond that, though, the episode still feels really lacking. And I think I know what it's lacking. The energy. The original Fooly Cooly was very high energy. It wasn't a frantic energy, mind you. It was an impassioned energy. Everyone who worked on it was excited to work on it. They loved working on it. And that energy is lacking in Fooly Cooly Progressive. Haruko in the original series is a spitfire. She can't sit still for 5 seconds, she's always doing something, and she's always warping in animation style. Haruko in Progressive feels comatose by comparison. Now, like I said, there's a possible explanation for it, because apparently she's been split into 2 people, so she's not entirely herself, literally. But just because that's an explanation doesn't mean it's an excuse. Nor is it an excuse for the rest of the series. Fooly Cooly Progressive at this point feels less like a labor of love and more like an obligation. It wasn't made for the love of the art, it was made because food costs money and we need more of it. Now again, we're only 2 episodes in, so I'm sure there's plenty of time to... Wait a minute. Just looked up a list. It's a 4-episode series, so we are officially at the halfway point. Well, if Fooly Cooly Progressive is going to stand any chance of living up to its predecessor, it had better pick up the pace quickly. I can't say I'm very optimistic at this point. Actually, since I brought it up, someone in the comments section for the first Fooly Cooly Progressive reaction I did said that I shouldn't be comparing it to the original, and instead just look at Progressive as its own story set in the same universe. And that's the only way I could possibly wind up liking it. I disagree with that assessment on pretty much every level. First of all, it's a sequel. The job of any sequel is to carry forward the themes and story, when there is a story, from what came before it in a meaningful way. That's how a sequel justifies its existence. It is a logical, necessary continuation. So naturally it's going to be compared to what came before it. Here's the analogy I used in response. Suppose you have 2 athletes competing in the Olympic high jump. The first athlete leaps over the bar effortlessly. The second athlete collides with the bar. Should the second athlete be judged differently because he's a different person competing in the same tournament? No way. He tried to equal or surpass the guy who came before him, and he blew it. He doesn't get a medal for trying. He doesn't get judged differently because he's not the same person. He tried, he didn't make it. Same thing applies here, I think. But also, even if I didn't look at this as a Fooly Cooly sequel, I don't think it would be much better. If it didn't have those 4 letters attached to the name, it would just be a series where a bunch of random stuff happens around nothing happening. There's just not enough in these episodes yet to really justify being Fooly Cooly, or even justify being a series at all. And with only 2 episodes left to go, I will be genuinely surprised if anything of substance does come up.